Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to Step Back Tonight, the show that I do where I talk about things on the internet. I'm your host, Tristan Johnson, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about my streaming schedule. This show I'm doing right now is called Step Back Tonight. It's a show where I chill out and have a little bit of an evening with some audience. I do have a little bit to announce about the change in schedule for the show, which is that I'm going to be wrapping up my streams at 9 instead of 10 because I think everybody is grateful to not have to deal with the last hour of my stream where my brain starts to shut down. And on top of that, what else can I say? On top of that, I need to work on my burnout control because this is doing a 3-hour stream after a 8 or 9 hour workday is a bit much. So on Fridays I do a show called The Reactor, which goes from 2 to 5, where people send me stuff to my Discord server called the Step Back Discord, and put stuff in the Reactor, and I watch it and react to it. And someone said a nice thing. Hi there, Tristan, love your work. Well, thank you, Noam Chomsky. That means a lot. You are quite influential to me, so Noam Chomsky is pretty cool. And if he likes my work, then I think we're good. Also, I do on Mondays, I do a show called The Monday Discourse with Mia Mulder from 12 to 2. And that is a show where, I have a pretty... We talk about stuff going on the internet, and she and I just fuck with each other. It's pretty fun. I go by he, him pronouns. And if you want to watch my YouTube videos, which I just burnt a shit ton of brain glucose making today, you can go to tristanwon'tshutup.com or stepbackhistory.com. If you are a Amazon Prime subscriber, you get one free Twitch subscription per month. And if you use those, they help out independent Twitch creators. So, and it's at no extra cost to you. It doesn't cost you anything except for the price that you already paid for your Amazon Prime subscription that you use so that you could watch The Tick. Is that one still on the air? Are they still doing The Tick? Hope so. Otherwise, that's going to go down awkward. If you help out Step Back, you're helping me out immensely, because, streaming is now a not insignificant part of my income, and I need streaming money to buy enamel cups, but also more importantly to pay rent and feed my cats and things like that. And if you want to check out my latest video, and if you don't spend that money, if you don't spend that Twitch Prime subscription, Amazon just keeps it. They just keep the money. You don't get it back. Anyways, if you want to see my latest video, on Tristan Won't Shut Up, my latest video is about stuff. It's about the trolling industrial complex, which is a super, super fun video. People seem to be liking it quite a bit. And my second most recent video is, my most recent video on Step Back is about Emma Goldman. And my next Tristan Won't Shut Up video, which I filmed today, hence the reason why I'm having trouble completing sentences right now. The next Step Back video, the next Tristan Won't Shut Up video is about schools, and specifically trying to imagine what a post-capitalist school might look like. And the next Step Back video, which I just got a green light from the sponsor to film, so I'll probably be filming that tomorrow or Thursday, is going to be about history and the value of history and why it's important and the political stakes and everything like that. And so that whole thing. It's going to be real fun. Okay. I think that's all the things. I'm starting to get that into a tight 5-6 minutes now. I'm getting pretty good at that. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about in chat land. Let's see. We've got Matt Lipton here. Good stuff. It's been largely a negative reactionary response by online leftists about the latest ContraPoints video supporting voting. Have you considered rewatching the video and analyzing statements without bias? I, for one, believe she did a good job pointing out the falsehoods and edgy online communist mentality. So I watched that video this morning. I was so blown away because I was like, this ContraPoints, first of all, it came out at 10:30 at night. Right before I was going to go to bed or something like that. And so I was like, oh, okay, sure. So I woke up this morning and watched it. A lot of Natalie's arguments are pretty similar to my own. It's kind of unfortunate that she announced that this is the one thing that's going to save America from fascism on the day that Joe Biden basically came out saying that he's going to fill his cabinet with what's it called? He's going to fill his cabinet with Republicans, including forced birth Christian supremacist forced birth advocate and Christian supremacist John Kasich. So that's fun. But like, I'm not exactly sure where the Natalie is always trying to stir the pot a little bit, but I don't think that she's necessarily wrong on this on the statement that like the best part about that whole video that stuck out in my head was the whole bit about how the tin pot revolutionaries, which if you're a content creator on the left, you're just like completely inundated with comments and attacks from these people who are like, no, we need to start a vanguard army like tomorrow to overthrow capitalism. And it's like, oh really? You and what army? That's like the only real answer. Like, fuck. You think you're gonna get like you're gonna overthrow the military that's got all the drones and the nukes and stuff? Good luck, bud. And so yeah, the only way out is through, and you have to. I feel like there's a lot of leftists who have not been a leftist for very long and don't realize that that dreaming about revolutions and stuff is not necessarily the solution to all of our problems, because you need to work as much as you can to get people taken care of today, as opposed to like, the far future or whatever. When it comes to voting and such, I'm kind of a centrist when it comes to voting, between the don't vote and the vote people. Like I've said now on the stream for a while now that if I were in America and I had the right to vote, that I'd probably vote for Biden at this point, just because the sort of activating of the far right is a pretty terrifying thing. And so for under strict, boring utilitarian reasons, that it would be probably pretty good to vote for Biden if I can. But like, am I going to shame people for not taking 13 hours out of their Tuesday to stand in line and catch COVID in order to put a ballot in a box for, hey, Birdie, thank you for subscribing for 13 months. Holy moly. And thank you, Asia Pacific Know-How, for following as well. Cheers. To continue. First of all, there are many reasons to not vote in this election that are pretty legitimate to me. First of all, the Biden campaign has made it pretty clear that they basically don't care about the left, and that if they don't think they need the left to win this election. They have pretty much concluded that progressives will get in line, or that they're too small in number to even be considered. So they're getting no seat at the table. They're getting no policy concessions. They're getting nothing. And when you are a person of color who every time you see a man in a uniform, you are worried for your own fucking life, choosing the guy who is a Republican and is going to fill the white supremacist who's going to fill his cabinet with Republicans and is going to do everything to make your life living hell, versus the white supremacist who's going to fill his cabinet with Republicans and is going to make your life a living hell. I get it, especially because America does so much work to disenfranchise people. Voting is so hard for anybody who's even remotely marginalized. People have been talking about waiting in line for 13 hours to vote. And, the election day is still not on a weekend. It's not a holiday. Nothing has changed on that front. So, and now, people are flat out setting up, fake ballot boxes. So, on all of those fronts, and also, say you're a victim of rape, and you just cannot bring yourself to mark that X, for the fact that both people running for president right now are rapists. I can imagine people going through a fuckload of trauma due to sexual assault would probably not be able to bring themselves to do that. Especially if, like, there's like tons of barriers, like you have to re-register, and like you need like 16 and a half forms of ID, and you have to stand in line for over half a day. Like, yeah, I am never going to vote shame somebody I'll vote shame somebody for voting for Trump, because that's a dumb thing to do. I might vote shame somebody for earnestly trying to give your vote to like Jorgensen, and maybe even a little bit to Howie Hawkins, because like Howie Hawkins, like you're basically committing your vote to literally nothing, but because the Green Party strategy is fucking awful. But like, here we are. Whether or not you can literally put your name on Joe Biden is like its own thing, and so I'm not going to like. I have more empathy for people who don't vote. I think one of the number one things about the ContraPoints video that I was like a little bit miffed by was when she was saying that that like voting is easy. It takes like 5 minutes. And that's the exact same thing that pissed me off when Noam Chomsky said that to Breonna Joy Gray, when like no acknowledgement over the fact that there's like been overt voter suppression, and that people have to wait like hours and hours and hours in line to vote right now, and it's fucking crazy. And the fact that like there's no empathy for that, and like I don't know, it just seemed like it was yeah. That part was like I was like a little bit out of touch. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're white and affluent and you work from home, so you can spend, even if you had 13 hours to spare on a Tuesday, you could do it. But, yeah. But there is definitely some... the fact that, like, the left has, first of all, integrated so many new people who weren't leftists, like, 4 years ago, is great. But it has brought in a lot of people who haven't realized that revolution is not around the corner, and that what's it called? You can stockpile all the guns you want, so you're not going to make it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen right now. We're nowhere close. But second, everyone's been so focused on trying to bring people back from the right, with like people like Vosh and stuff, that now you have hey. Diggy Dog Paco, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Orc Gang. But like also they're gonna bring in like the Vosh Destiny Xander Hall clique are bringing in people from the right by poning people on their streams or whatever. But essentially they're bringing in like fascists who think that who want healthcare, and it's like, okay. You like this like obsession with thinking that we've like de-radicalized people just because they think capitalism is bad, and it's like, oh, you're still saying racial slurs. Okay. This is fun. Yeah, but like there's a lot. The left has become a lot bigger, and means it's been filled up with a lot of people who either aren't approaching the left through a sense of empathy and are doing the same toxic masculine capitalist cruelty, or are so like jazzed up on new leftist idealism that they literally think that we're gonna do a 1917 right around the corner, which also makes me nervous because people who really want like what's it called? The last like big leftist revolution was almost as much about killing anarchists as it was about overthrowing the capitalists. So I don't really want like another Kronstadt or another like Red Army suppression of Nestor Makhno. Honestly. So like I don't know if in a revolutionary situation anarchists fare all that well, because it seems like Marxist-Leninists' priority number 1 is kill all the anarchists, and priority 2, if you're done killing all the anarchists, then you can maybe think about fighting capitalism. But then the Marxist-Leninists during the Russian Revolution just brought capitalism into the country. Like the Soviet Union never got rid of its money. They just kept capitalism going until it collapsed. So, so the two Marxist-Leninist goals: preserve capitalism and kill the anarchists. Those are the two goals. Yeah. That was a long rant about just a YouTube video, and I went to a lot of random places. I apologize for that. Oh, the more I go on random rants, and the more I yawn, and the more I forget what I was talking about, you know that it's been a day. It's been a fucking day. All right. The other day you said cruise ships were like exercises in bourgeois decadence. I think I might have found the ultimate example of that. Titanic 2. Oh, fuck. They really did Titanic 2, huh? Wow. Oh, wow. Not even like a few years later. And it's on hiatus. Oh my god. Okay. Well, shit. The fucking hubris of making Titanic 2. Titanic 2 reminds me of like one of the things I find they're never gonna get tickets. Was that the Noam Chomsky? I somehow don't think so. Titanic 2 feels like it's gonna have the same issues that happened with the Freedom Tower. So like after on September 11th, 2011, the 10-year anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, they finally started construction on the new World Trade Center Freedom Tower project, and it's done now, or at least it's mostly done. I think they're still working on like a mall or something, but like the thing is they can't get just actually very much like the original World Trade Center. They can't get anybody to lease any space in the tower. So there's a huge vacancy problem in the World Trade Center, because who the fuck is gonna set up their headquarters in the World Trade Center? It's fucking a cursed address, man. Tempting fate. How likely do you think that the U.S. or the interim government will prevent the Socialist Party taking power in Bolivia? How would it happen if it were to happen? How likely do you think I don't know what's going to happen with what's going on in Bolivia right now. Things are weird. And I'm not an expert. This is more of a question you should ask, I don't know, maybe Bad Empanada or something. Do you think reactionaries who claim to be leftists have ruined safe spaces where you can have polite and kind conversation about good political stories? For example, nobody knows or seems to care that in New Zealand the Labour Party won a supermajority, even when having a proportional representation. And on top of that, they still want to have a coalition government, the Green Party, to testify to unity. Reactionaries who claim to be leftists have ruined safe spaces where you can have a polite and kind conversation about good political stories. Maybe. There's definitely some serious doomerism because everyone's just laser focused on America. I did hear about what happened in New Zealand. I heard because I know New Zealand's got some weird funky form of government where half of it is proportional representation and half of it's local or some weird combo. But it's good that the Labour Party won. Labour Party. New Zealand did an exemplary job at containing COVID. They don't have to practice social distancing or masks now because there's no community spread of it. That'd be fucking nice if it was here. So there you go. Would you rather watch a movie about a down-on-luck guy who creates an original invention to get rich, or a movie about a guy with a lot of disadvantages who made some minor tweaks to stuff that already existed? I mean, I think that the guy who makes the original invention and gets rich is probably the more interesting movie. But that's just me. Remember that story in the last Behind the Bastards about the guy who either had to pledge loyalty to the Nazis or get fired? What do you think you'd do in that situation? I mean, I hope that I would not take the loyalty oath. I would go somewhere else. But that's me talking high and mighty from a Canadian in 2020. I don't know what I would do if I was in that actual situation. Did you hear that Nigeria's having anti-police brutality protests? I heard that they had like some form of weird like anti-theft police that were basically acting like brutal like criminals that were just like attacking political opponents and stuff like that. But I don't really know what else came out of that. I haven't really followed too close. Does Kelly get along with your formerly alt-right sister? I mean, enough. There's no like active fighting, that's for sure. To say alt-right might be a bit far. She was just like a dumb anti-feminist who had a reactionary boyfriend and just mimicked all of his shitty opinions. My sister's main thing is not that she has like that she's a reactionary. It's that she has no actual personality of her own, and she just kind of turns into whoever she's dating at any given time. And at one point, she was just dating some shitty guy who had shitty opinions about women. Alrighty. I really don't understand the hate for the new Natalie video. It's complicated. Hey, Birdie's here. Hey, everybody. Birdie Blake's good artist drew this. All right, I gotta do this. I gotta get where's my OBS here? Birdie Blake drew this wonderful piece of art. Look at that. Look how pretty that is. If you want them to draw your D&D character or persona or centaur with two front parts, then you should hit up Birdie Blake because they're pretty good at drawing. Probably gonna put a link in the chat in a minute now. Anyways, let's move along. Hope you're doing well, friend. Talk to you later. All right, Shannon. Nice seeing you. That's Mr. Beat's wife. She showed up to say hi. I just don't care for Tabby since I feel like she's Natalie talking down to the left for scaring centrists. I mean, you're not wrong. She's a little... Last I talked to her, she's a little embarrassed about Tabby at this point. Or should I say, Tabby's turning into a bit of a straw man at this point. Or straw cat, I guess I should say. So those right-wingers who are angry about natives getting extra fishing rights, are they pretending to care about the environment? Oh, fuck no. They're just mad that indigenous people get quote-unquote extra privileges that they don't. Because they don't understand how treaty law works. Not to mention, like, indigenous people typically are, like, a mix of, like the Micmac, like, fish, like, what's it called? Lobster trappers are, like, you know, trapping for subsistence and to sell a little bit to make a little bit of cash so that they can live a okay life. While, like, a lot of the fishermen who are doing the racism are, like, working for, like, corporate fishing organizations and doing, like, capitalist, like, you know, just purely for profit fish, what's it called? Lobster trapping. I'm 99% certain those people are posadas with hidden nuke dolphin agendas. Oh, God. All right. Apparently more Republicans than Democrats requested mail-in ballots in Michigan and Wisconsin, simply because a lot of boomers are voting by mail. How confident should we be that the mail-in vote is going to favor the Democratic Party? For the most part, it will. Not necessarily all the time, but especially in rural areas. Like the way that I remember hearing is that urban areas will overwhelmingly vote Democrat in mail-in votes. The only place where Republicans really get, like, really are the majority of mail-in votes is in very rural areas. But also, Trump is basically telling all the Republicans to just go and cough on each other and lick each other's eyeballs in the line to vote in person on the day. So I feel like a lot more Republicans are going to come out to vote on voting day than they are mail-in votes. Trying to learn economics so I can understand capitalism better. What subject should I study and which should I skip? Somebody already told me to pass microeconomics. Good question. A good book to read is a good thing to study for economics is Capital, the classic. Although Capital is like a book that actually has like math homework in it. So like I'd more recommend reading like David Harvey's Guide to Capital. That'd probably be a good thing to read. That's a good book for anybody to read. Because it's David Harvey trying to talk about Marx's Capital, but like with like actually like decent, communication skills, which Marx did not have. Did you hear that today the Supreme Court in a lawsuit voted to allow Pennsylvania to count late arriving mailed-in ballots in the upcoming election? Is this a sign that the court is less likely to support a loser Trump contesting his defeat? I believe if the court has majority evil, they wouldn't have allowed Pennsylvania to count late votes. Yeah, they kind of implied that Amy Coney Barrett would not have voted for that because it only didn't pass because it was a 4-4 Supreme Court decision, which means that it just got passed down to the decision of the lower court, which means that it went through. That's not going to be the case when Amy Coney Barrett's back, that's for sure. But it's good news. I'll take it where we can get it. If Amy Coney Barrett's on the Supreme Court by the time there's like contentious election decisions that need to be made, there's a whole bunch of people who are in the Supreme Court now who worked on the Bush v. Gore campaign for Bush. So this is not... If the election goes to the courts, I don't like the chances for Biden at that point. That's why this win has to be like a bit of a blowout. All right. But the kind of happy part is that it looks like it might actually be. Who knows? Like, what's it called? Early voting for Pennsylvania showed that, like, almost 2/3 of the people voting were Democrats, which is like, ooh, okay, interesting. Apparently more Republicans than Democrats requested... I already answered this one. Why can't you vote on the weekend? Good question. Or why isn't at least a public holiday? Also a good question. It's because Republicans want to keep it not a holiday because the lower voter turnout is, the more only like retired people and rich people get to vote, and that benefits them. Like Republicans want to make it as hard to vote and they want as low a voter turnout as possible so that only their voters come out to vote for them. Because, the more democratic an election is, the more likely the Democrats win. Which the Republicans don't like. The Republicans are straight up getting ready to get comfortable with minority rule at this point. So, speaking of the Greens, what are your thoughts on Jill Stein? I feel like everything I know about her is influenced by the liberals blaming Green voters for Trump. I mean, she's an interesting character. I said to vote for Jill Stein in the 2012 election. I like that she's like the only presidential candidate who got arrested during the 2016 campaign. And like her positions were fine. It's just like the Green Party was trying to wield a kind of weird coalition in 2016 because like the pre-Bernie Sanders Green Party alliance is like kind of like the Libertarians. Like they're not a real political party, so their coalition is just like weirdos. And so the Green Party, like, for example, one of the kind of weirdest things that Jill Stein had to do in 2016 is she refused to take a strong stance in favor of vaccines because she knows that anti-vaxxers vote Green, and or that there's a significant anti-vaxxer component of the Green Party because, as I said, the Green Party is not a real political party, so only weirdos are part of their voter base. But now this is like, now they're trying to angle with more of like an eco-socialist, like people who liked Bernie Sanders and don't understand how politics works. Like that's like their kind of coalition they're trying to build right now. and that's a different tactic than they were going for in 2016. But like, you look at like third party voters and they, what's it called? They broke more for Trump than they did for Clinton. So like, yeah, there's like, even like that, like there's still, even though the Green Party has like no, like, or even though the Libertarian Party has like no real voter base, they still get like something like 5 or 6 times more votes than the Green Party. Like the Green Party is so insignificant and they don't make the difference in any elections. Like, bleh. But like Jill Stein, interesting political figure, kind of just an activist person. Yeah. Wait, you can't vote on the weekend? No. See, the thing is, like, that's a weird thing. Is in Canada, we have early voting like weeks before the election, and they do here too. But like the amount, like there's so many limitations on your ability to vote in America that a lot of people just end up hours and hours in line on election night. Enthusiasm is to be expected for people who have just taken on a new perspective. Yep. It's why all of the shitty trad Catholics, like the shitty traditionalist Catholics, they all converted like 17 or like what's it called, like 7 years ago. The people, like, what's it called? The trad Caths are not made up of people who grew up Catholic. They're made up of like people who converted as adults. Should you vote if you haven't studied politics extensively? I didn't vote until 2017 because I had this idea that unless you were willing to spend hours studying before you vote, you shouldn't do it. No, I don't really feel like there's any, like, I'm against the idea of taking away people's votes in general. I don't think we're in any place to tell people to not vote. And more often people are convinced that, like, there's something super fucking elitist about, like, oh, you haven't done enough homework to be allowed to vote. Be gone, peasant. Because you know that's just gonna like benefit wealthy people and educated people who have the free time to be able to study for hours. Do you think Biden will win even with obvious voter suppression? At this point, it's looking like he will. But the extent of, like, shitty jiggery pokery that's going to happen in this election is unprecedented, and we'll see. Like, right now, Biden has something like a 96% chance of winning the popular vote. And yet, only like an 89% chance of winning the election. And who knows how much lower that goes if, like, you're dealing with, like, you know. Hey, Fat Larius, thank you for following. Welcome to our gang. Like, we'll see where that goes after that. But yeah, if Biden, like, at this point, if Biden loses the election, it's going to be through, like, fucking weird shit. And at that point, I can't even tell you because I don't know what the hell is going to happen anymore. But, like, it looks like there's some massive voter turnout for Biden happening right now. Like voter turnout seems to be way higher than it was in previous elections, which is, I guess, you know, comfort. We get to deal with a slightly fewer Republicans in the president's cabinet, so that's nice. There's a TikTok like, "Hi comrades, I was a neo-Nazi last week." Oh yeah, I know, I love it. Let me see if I can find it. It's really funny. I think I tweeted at one, or I tweeted out at one point. But it basically outlines the kind of leftists that you make, like the kind of leftists that like Destiny and Vosh and them are bringing into the fold for the most part. I'm just gonna keep scrolling till I find it, because yeah, it's like one of my faves. Here we go. Let's bring it over here. This is this one here.
Not anymore. Hello. We all hate capitalism here. Hello. I used to be a neo-Nazi 2 weeks ago. Oh! But you're not anymore, right? Not anymore. All leftist here. Awesome. Comrade. We are equals. I'm gonna say a Nazi dog whistle now. Oh, I thought we weren't doing that anymore. Listen here, you overreactionary feminazi bitch. You don't get to tell me what to do. Oh, you're lucky we don't rape all you blue-haired little bitches. Go kill yourself. Oh, not a comrade, not a comrade.
Yeah, it's basically like, that is, oh, shoot. I just realized I didn't switch the camera. I should probably watch that again, but now you can actually see it. That would probably be good.
Hello. We all hate capitalism here.
Oh,
Hello.
I'm a dumbass. Sorry.
I used to be a neo-Nazi 2 weeks ago. Oh, but you're not anymore, right? Not anymore. All leftist here. Awesome. Comrade. We are equals. I'm gonna say a Nazi dog whistle now. Oh, I thought we weren't doing that anymore. Listen here, you overreactionary feminazi bitch. You don't get to tell me what to do. Oh, you're lucky we don't rape all you blue-haired little bitches. Go kill yourself. Oh, not a comrade, not a comrade.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, like,
hello.
If I were to have any description of like what gets produced in like the what's it called? The people who have become not Nazis because they watched Vosh do a stream, because they watched toxic male performative what's it called, ponage via the WWE politics streams that, like, whatever, fuck these people. they're gonna, what's it called, they're just gonna turn into the fuck's that guy's name? I'm trying to remember what that guy's name is. Friggin' the Burger King guy. Nazballs. Anyways. The oldest and first Green Party is in Tasmania, and Australia has one of the strongest Green Parties. Cool. Are you a fan of the Frankfurt School? Oh boy. There's a lot of reasons someone would be asking that question. Hey, Matt Lipton, thank you for the $5 super chat. Happy 116th birthday to Tommy Douglas. Hooray for Medicare. Good stuff. I did not know it was Tommy Douglas's birthday. Am I a fan of the Frankfurt School? I don't know if you really want my answer, because do you want me to talk about what the idea behind the Frankfurt School is, or is this I'm a neo-Nazi and I have anti-Semitic conspiracy theories revolving around the Frankfurt School, and I want you to say that you like them so that I can show all my Nazi friends that you're part of the Jewish conspiracy? Because that's there's two. That's one of the more common reasons people ask that question. But the Frankfurt School is basically the whole concept behind cultural Marxism, which maybe it could work, but I have my reservations. And it seems like media and cultural products seem to do more to impede leftist consciousness raising, and seem to veer actual leftist organization towards sort of more liberal causes, and it's oh, that's not going to go anywhere. Yeah. Okay. When do you think the reduction will happen? I think it'll be decades in the future. I don't know what that's a reference to. Oh, do you mean revolution? I don't know. Revolutions are one of those things that I think are pretty hard to predict. They sort of just happen. That's like one of that, like, it's not really a satisfying answer, but it is the answer I believe. What would the conditions have to be before doing a revolution is a good idea? You would basically need the state to be in a more or less free fall. Like, the thing is, first of all, you would need to have the military in a situation where it's sympathetic to leftist causes, which, not the most common thing in the world. And then you would also need to live in a world where the CIA won't just assassinate any, like, leftist leader that tries to rise up in the country. I mean, you can still try to brunt through, but, like, you're up against a lot of institutional forces. In America, I honestly don't know if, given the over-bloated size of the U.S. military, that a revolution, like a leftist revolution like you're imagining, is going to happen in that country, unless there's, like, a severe weakening of the military-industrial complex, or there's just not a thing known as the United States anymore. Like, I think more if there's gonna be like a leftist revolution in America, it's more gonna have to happen because the US state has completely imploded and is sort of being rebuilt. Who the fuck goes to malls these days? Good question. Thing is, I think they decided they were gonna build a mall there like 15 years ago, and plans just had to keep moving forward because construction is slow. In the UK, and I would guess in the US and Canada too, it's normal for companies to send LGBTQ members of their PR departments to march in pride events, like wearing stuff advertising the company. Do you think organizers should discourage that kind of thing, or do you think that you have to allow that kind of thing to be inclusive? I mean, the corporatization of pride is definitely a thing that is of concern, and people are getting worried about it. But I also know that it's definitely not Tristan's place to speak to what the fuck is going on with that. I think that's, like, definitely the corporatization of pride has become pretty widespread. I'm not exactly sure where to go from there. Anyways, I noticed in a lot of 1990s films they depict office work and working in a cubicle in a building as something that most Americans did. However, I've noticed that barely exists in today's culture. Can you please explain what led to the decline in office work and where all those people transitioned to? I think a lot of people still work in offices. It's just now a lot more people work, like, now those offices don't have cubicles anymore. They're just all open concept office spaces that everyone's miserable in together. And besides that, people are working more like, those are service jobs, but, like, working more like, low, like, a lot of those jobs have been automated away, and now they, like, sling coffee and burgers and stuff like that. There's a lot more people working in, like, restaurants and gas stations and things like that, because cashier seems to be the one job that they haven't been able to automate away yet. Or, more often, bouncing between different jobs every few years because contract work. Do original inventors exist? Not particularly. Hey, ye face, thank you for following. Welcome to the Orc Gang. If you think about what invention really is, it's sort of like a network of people who have needs and objects that have already been invented, and these sort of reshaping into things. Like, I always think of, like, inventions as, like, a continuum that has various people iterating on them throughout the ages. At least that's, like, the last time I read like the kind of theory in technology history that was about, like, the network model of invention and stuff like that, and black box theory and stuff. That was, like, this idea that, all inventions you can kind of map on, like, a web where, like, a person or a group interacted with the object and sort of hammered it into existence, all the way back to, like, simple machines. Sort of like an evolutionary tree or something. I gotta redo that, or you gotta recommission me to do a better one. I should commission a better one. Does your family know the way you feel about your sister? Yeah, we have never gotten along ever. Like, my parents are, we haven't seen eye to eye since we were children, so it's, yeah. Centaur with 2 front parts, so like the mutants from Fallout Vegas with the hand feet. Why did she keep using Tabby then, though? I don't know. Last time I talked to Natalie, like, in person and had a conversation was, like, 2018. So, it's been a minute. 2019 VidCon, I was in the same room as her, but now she's too famous to talk to me. Because now at VidCon, when she goes, she's very busy and doesn't really have time to just, like, hang out anymore. And she doesn't, what's it called? They keep the people who are famous enough that they could cause, like, you know, a stampede or something out of the main floor. So, and I am not like that. And so I often get separated from the people I want to hang out with. Hey, Sundergumi, thank you for following. Welcome to Orc Gang. So I'll just, you know, float along. Alright. Where is he reading comments from? I have a chat program that is intertwining my YouTube and Twitch chats so that I can keep up with everything. What do you think about what's going on with Wisconsin and Michigan? Are they particularly rural states? They do have very rural areas, that's for sure. And also, I'm just, like, behind. How do you feel about the Coffins and Angie having Caleb Mopin on their show? Not great. I'm kind of... I'll be honest, I'm kind of done with them. Ever since, what's it called? Peter Coffin's new gig is, his new hobby is just talking about how much he hates anarchists. So, I've, like, just been like, okay, I've had enough of Peter Coffin. You know, like that Andy from Toy Story 2 or whatever. I don't want to play with you anymore. That's sort of my... And I've never listened... Like, what's it called? I have, like, negative desire to listen to what... I can't remember what the name of that fucking podcast is, but, like, I just have zero desire to listen to it. What happens if you vote by mail and then die before the election? It still gets counted. What's the deal with the rise of online liberal pundits like Brian Tyler Cohen? I have no idea who that is. Seems like his YouTube account got millions of followers fast by just releasing a few videos with outrage titles like GOP Senator for Iowa just destroyed her own chances of winning, like WTF. I don't know. I don't know how these things work. Money? Like maybe there's some think tank funding them? I don't know. How do you feel about Steve Bannon saying that he has more stuff for Biden? Q going mad right now. Current prediction is sometime in the next 24 to 48, Biden will drop out and be replaced, likely by Hillary. They are absolutely hard for Hillary to lose again as Trump ushers in the millennium. Oh boy. Yeah, that's terrifying. Nice reference to millenariums, Vivian. Yeah, oh boy. Thanks for that image. Very, very, very cool. Very cool, Vivian. You're doing wonders for the old Tristan Noggin. Yeah, like the fucking weird like apocalypse cult that is QAnon. We'll see what. Oh man, how do I feel? Is I kind of want to die. Like I hate QAnon is like the thing that maybe this is. I'm making a video about this probably sometime in the future, but QAnon is one of those things that scares me more than I think a lot like the militia movements and like all the stuff like the sort of like fascist militia stuff that's kind of come out of the woodwork. I think QAnon scares me more than that. QAnon feels like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion and the kind of conspiracy theory that led to widespread going along with Nazism, and that's the part that like makes me really shiver. I find QAnon to be much scarier than a lot of the other far-right groups because it is it openly desires to kill massive amounts of people, but also has enough plausible deniability that it's that it has sort of like widespread appeal, and lots of people are getting into it. Could unique local cultures survive easy transport and total freedom of movement? In the known space universe, the abolition of nation states and transporter technology results in Earth becoming pretty culturally homogenous. It definitely is a challenge, but I don't know if it's like completely like what's it called? Unconscionable or impossible. Did you see Peter Coffin have a dumb take on anarchism? Yes, he's had several in a very short amount of time. That like anarchism is when you think that people should not be able, like anarchism is when you think anybody should be able to fly an airplane. That's like, I was like, this is a bad take. The anarchism understander has logged on. Oh man, it's fucking horrible. Thank you for the dinner company again, Tristan. Would you consider a video on G.W. Carver? George Washington Carver? I'd have to find a very compelling reason to do so. My audience would not be interested in a video like that. Like, I could make a George Washington Carver video, and I can guarantee you that it will get no views. Sometimes that's worth it, but I kind of need to, pay bills now. Suppose Biden wins. Do you think Q people will stick with Trump or move to someone else who might run in 2024? I'm starting to think that because of the deplatforming, and if Trump loses, that the Q movement will probably splinter into different areas based on what weird corners of the internet they live in. Because now they've been explicitly told to stop believing or stop talking about QAnon in like direct terms, which makes me think that it's going to break into like factions and stuff like that if Trump loses. Okay. It's already happening a little bit. Like, QAnon's already kind of splitting into the people who are more about, like, the child, like, protect children thing. There are those who are getting more into, like, weird spiritual stuff. Like, there's sort of, like, a new agey QAnon movement now. It's the people who are, like, trying to find the mole children. So it's already had, like, a little bit of a breakup. Especially as, like, every mainstream platform keeps kicking them off, and now they have to go into their own little weird internet corners to mutate. Do the U.S. Greens actually do anything other than run for president every 4 years? Do the Libertarians, for that matter? I don't know if the Libertarians do. I don't know what the Libertarians do, but I think the Green Party, that is all they do. They invest everything in a presidential run because for some reason they don't think local races are important. And it's like, that's why I know that they're not taking the election or not taking their party seriously, because they're just acting as a what's it called, a protest vote. Because, if, like, the Green Party was actually serious about, like, growing a coalition, they would start with running, like, hyper-local, putting their resources into hyper-local candidates to sort of win through in certain races. Like, I feel like they could, like, the Green Party could keep running for president forever and not get anywhere. But if they could win, like, one congressional race, that would be, like, the biggest news ever. But for some reason, they don't want to do that. It's crazy how much easier it is to vote in Canada. Yeah, I know. And also in Canada, like, there's, like, it's only, like, one thing to vote for. Like, when you vote in Canada, there isn't, like, a booklet with, like, 16,000 things to vote for. There is, I think, like, the biggest vote, like, the biggest election I ever had to vote in, like, the biggest, like, most amount of things to vote for was when I voted in the Toronto mayoral election. And you voted for who was mayor, and I think you voted for some, like, school board trustees or something, and that was it. But most elections, it's like, who do you want to be your MP? Or who do you want to be your MPP? And that's, like, it. Like, and those aren't the same election. Those are different elections. The thing about Canada is we have more elections than in America. Like, I think the average Canadian probably goes to the polls about every other year. But usually there's only, like, one election at a time. So, like, there's just the provincial election, where you just vote for who you want to be your MPP. Or there's just the federal election, where you're voting for who you want to be your MP. We don't have a president, so there's no presidential election. There's no, we don't have referenda like in America. Like, we do have referenda, but they are their own elections in and of themselves. We don't have just, like, a whole bunch of shit tacked onto the end of a ballot like in America. So... let's see. Couldn't the Democrats make Election Day a holiday when they controlled the House and Senate and the presidency in 2009 to 2011? Maybe they could have. Interesting. They'll stick with Trump, though. New saviors can always be added to the dogma. Look at Mike Flynn, for example. He's like a mini messiah to them, yeah. My dad is a devout Catholic, and he hates the traditionalist mindset of a lot of new priests seem to have. Yeah. Can you be an apatheist and still be pretty sure the Christian God doesn't exist? I mean, those are totally different claims. Sure. Yeah. I mean, as sure as one can be. Like, I feel like, given what we know about the universe, the idea of a God existing exactly the way that it's written in the Christian holy texts does seem like it's a bit much. Took me 10 minutes for leaving my home and my vote for my municipal election in Canada. Oh man, Liam, I've got a better story. The last election I voted in, there was a polling location in my apartment building. So the second the polls opened on election day, I, in my pajamas, went to the elevator, went up to the 24th floor, and stood in a line that was 2 people long, and put in my ballot, and then went downstairs and went back home. It's literally all I had to do. The fact that and also that happened at the provincial election too, like, and the federal election. The fact that, like, the polling there's just a polling location in my apartment building, just up on the 24th floor, was fucking amazing. Is the turnout pro-Biden or anti-Trump? It's most definitely anti-Trump. Nobody gives a shit about Biden. He's going to be one of the least popular presidents in American history before he even becomes inaugurated, I bet. Don't vote unless you've done your homework, a standard you should impose on yourself. I mean, I don't think you have to do, like, hours of homework. You should definitely do some research, or you should at least, like, Google to find out who's backing what. But even then, like, there's always a correct answer. Like, in Britain, in the UK, you already know how to vote. It's, like, pretty easy. You vote Labour. That's it. There's no other options. Like, you're done. You're done. You just vote Labour. Because, like, the real politics that means anything is in leadership races and stuff like that. So you just, like, what's it called? Really, you just gotta check the box for Labour and then go home. Just like here in Canada, you just have to vote NDP and then you go home. That's it. That's the only correct party to vote for. So voting means very little by that point if you're of any political principles. If you think if Trump wins the election, he'll pull the U.S. out of NATO? Ooh. He might threaten to, but I don't think he actually would. I don't think he has the cojones to do that. That'd be a bigger thing than the things he's done. How about just imposing mandatory retirement ages on judges instead of packing? That'd get Thomas off the court right away. I mean, that'd be great. I'd take all of them. I like the idea that somebody said that, like, why does it matter how many Supreme Court justices there are? The fact that, like, every Supreme Court justice is a personality that everyone has to have, like, this close and intimate relationship with is kind of fucked up. They're not supposed to be politicians. They're supposed to be like arbitration people. And this is why, like, what's it called? I think somebody said once, why doesn't just like every president just appoint 3? Even if they die, they die. Then they just get, like, what's it called? Just keep making just more for every 3 for every presidential term. There you go. And just add more. Like, if there was like 50 Supreme Court justices, I wouldn't give a shit. If there was like 100 Supreme Court justices, I wouldn't give a shit. Just keep increasing the size of the bench until every American citizen is a Supreme Court justice. That's the trick. When we can get to 330 million Supreme Court justices, then the Supreme Court has been enlarged large enough. What's it called? I Love Green Beans is a Nazi now. This is strange. I don't know who that is, but I love the idea of dyeing an anarchist flag into your hair. I know, it looks pretty boss. Gotta say, I can't speak to the situation. Oh, where do you reside? Oh my goodness. This, okay. This is a fucking weird drawing of like a fan. It's like, let me see if I could get this on the screen. So this is a fantasy map. A politics fantasy map. So let's see. Like, you see, you've got KGB land, our outback, Len Inn, Stall in the Red Cave, Mount DPRK, oh god, Fort Stalin, the Pit of Famine, Leninstead, Trotsky City, the Sokdem Mountains, Bernstead, Progress Village, the Social Dunes, Corbin City, Leftia, the AOC Mountains, and then down here we got Greenla, Thunberg Forest, the Treehouse Commune, Hawkins Lake, the Primate Jungle, and Prime, Lib Lake, Monk Village, oh god, and Capistan, oh dear, Bezos Bazaar, the Amazon Prime Pyramid, and Capital, and Cap Oasis, oh fuck, Shapiro, I say that I live in the Treehouse Commune, that sounds pretty fun. All right. Are those tabletop manuals or old console manuals on the bookshelf behind you? Those are D&D books, for sure. Have you heard about Harbinger Media? They're trying to create a left-wing media network and are hoping to make some YouTube history content next year. Might be good to look into. Sure. The Frankfurt School is like Adorno and Horkheimer, right? I only really hear about them because people are doing media analysis. They're relevant outside of that. I don't think so. I'm not really... That's the thing, is I'm not a media theorist, so I don't really have much to say about the Frankfurt School. That's why somebody bringing up the Frankfurt School at a history stream or a historian stream makes me think that they're probably Nazis that want to see if I believe in their anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. All right, let's see. What was the Frankfurt School solution to that problem? Like, suppose all movies and TV shows do reinforce capitalism. What do we do? Just not have any entertainment? Well, I think they wanted to make socialist entertainment, is the thing. They wanted to make, like, socialist movies and stuff. As far as I know. When I asked you why farmers are able to displace foragers, you said it's because foragers can't raise armies. If we're talking about farmers like 7,700 years ago, why would their lifestyle really been that much more productive or stable than that of hunter-gatherers? It's more because they can produce more people. Like, hunter-gatherers need vast areas to live in with very low population density, while farmers can just, live in dense population centers and have cities and organization and stuff, which is not a thing that hunter-gatherers can really do efficiently. Alrighty. Redoing the commission. Since you'll see this in like half an hour, part of why I'm not pleased with how it turned out is because I was using a different style than my own. If you let me do my own thing, it'd turn out better. Fair. And like the background already looks great. Like looking at the splash screen here, the background looks great. And as we established earlier, that you already have all of those layers saved. So you just need to redraw the me, which like I could totally pay you to do that. Especially because like what's it called? My birthday's in November, so it'll be fun till I could buy myself a Christmas present by having more art, because I have so many drawings of me that I would love to. I seem to be building a collection. Next month I turn 32. Ooh, God, that hurt to say. I feel like my joints got rustier just me saying that. So yeah. I'll buy some I'm not saying that it's my birthday because what's it called? Because I want free art. I just want to say that it's a good excuse to do it. All right. And you sent this to me at 7:49, and it's now 8:10. So technically, it was 21 minutes ago, not 30 minutes ago. So I'm doing real good. Oh boy. Okay. You were kind of grumpy in the streams, but every so often you smile, and I got to say you have a lovely smile. Aw. Am I grumpy in my streams? I guess I am. What I am most of the time during these like evening streams is fucking exhausted, because Tuesday streams are the day, like on Monday and Friday, which are the other 2 days I stream. Those are basically my weekend days. Like I don't do any work on Mondays and Fridays because I have streams during the day. So I just take those days as my days to just not do any work. But Tuesdays, because it's the evening stream, I work all day and then I stream all night. And so you're catching me like at my absolute like mental low place when it comes to like total body energy. And I have been told that I have like resting sad face. Like I can just have like a normal face and people will say that like I look like I'm really sad or miserable. Just cause like I guess I got a resting weepy face or something. So I don't know. Cause yeah, like this is like my like completely neutral face, which I guess looks sad. But like it's been like that forever. Like I've had people like I've just been like walking normally, and like I remember an incident when I was like maybe like a teenager or something, and I was walking like in the halls of my high school, just like normally I was just like walking to class or something, and someone was like, "Are you okay? You look so upset." And I was just like, "Do I? I mean, I have to go to English. That kind of sucks, but I guess I should, what's it called? I should amuse myself more with random things. Speaking of things that amuse me, fucking, how did we get this far into the stream without talking about Zoom Dick? Which is possibly the greatest story of the week. That just, like, some New Yorker writer was, like, fucking whacking himself off during a fucking Zoom meeting. Oh my god, it's gross and it's fucked up, but like, god damn it, it's like the most embarrassing way to have like the entire internet know that you did something like that. Fucking Zoom Dick. Oh man, Zoom Dick was like a genuine like point of light in the like otherwise completely shitty mess that is 2020. I don't know why somebody felt the need to jerk off in the middle of a meeting. But Zoom dick. Zoom dick's out for Harambe, everybody. Thank you for the compliment, Black Cat. Thank you for complimenting my smile. Sometimes I'm a little self-conscious over the fact that I have a huge-ass gap in my teeth. But Madonna has one, so it's fine. It's fine. Madonna and Lottie Blix both have one, and they are both, they're both fine. Nobody draws attention to it, so I guess I can get away with it too. Did you watch Interstellar by Nolan? If so, why do you think he decided to place the habitable world so far away in a distant galaxy rather than the wormhole leading to a planet within our own Milky Way? Do you ever wonder if inhabitable worlds are truly 1 in a billion? Imagine us nuking the Earth and having to travel to another galaxy to find a new home. Yeah, I mean, it could be true. I read this book about the Fermi paradox like a few years ago, and the conclusion of the book was that because of a combination of a whole bunch of different factors and filters and stuff like that, that intelligent aliens are, and planets that could have intelligent life on it, are rare enough that there might only be one in the whole Milky Way galaxy, and that is us. That could be the case. And if you have a conservative view of like great filters and the Drake equation and stuff like that, it's very easy to think that that we might actually be alone in the galaxy. Most definitely not the universe, but the galaxy, it's fairly possible because there's just a lot of factors that might lead to planets not being habitable for various things. Everybody is always calling my brother twins girls based on the scan. How do you feel about using gender terminology to describe things that are too young to even comprehend what gender is? I mean, it's one of those things like kind of like, how in an ideal world, everybody would be agendered, non-binary, like, like we would be wearing our silver jumpsuits and stuff like that. But like unfortunately, the world we live in is highly gendered. And there's a lot of friction that gets created by just doing what's it called? Assuming that like children are non-binary until proven otherwise. Just ask any non-binary person how fucking annoying it is to just exist in this world. So like, I would love if we could live in a world where we could get rid of the like assumed cisgendered until proven otherwise, but that's like, not the most, I don't think that that's a thing that's on the close horizon. Had enough of coffee when I realized he had no moral conviction and would just stand Angie no matter how bad her takes were. Dude's a flake. Yeah. Angie Speaks has definitely done some linguistic gymnastics that has been really fucking weird. That whole, like, the thing is, like, their whole thing started as, like, a Discord server that was, like, for a secret society for leftists. And it was this Discord server called the Bread and Bone Society. And then it got, like, filled with people, and it had a bunch of dumb drama in it. And I think that the Low Society podcast kind of came out of that because it was started by a handful of us, but only like Peter Coffin and Angie Speaks were the ones who actually were invested in it, and I think it turned into this. And I don't even know if the Discord server's around anymore, to be honest. Originally there was just like, I think 5 or 6 of us, and then a whole bunch of people joined and random shit happened, and I stopped paying attention a long time ago. If you watch Midlife Critics' latest video about, found out that Ghislaine Maxwell's dad is the reason why academia is behind a paywall in the journal system. Well, fuck. More reasons to not like Ghislaine Maxwell. Should I consider not supporting Peter anymore? I'm not going to tell you what to do. Just what's it called? I'm not in the world to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you my own takes. Doesn't Peter Coffin go by they them pronouns, or am I mixing that up? Maybe I'm mixing up. I thought that Peter Coffin goes by whatever pronouns or whatever. If lockdown ends, me, you, and Tristan should get a beer and bitch about our siblings. Sounds good to me. I'd be happy to have COVID be so not a factor that I could go to Toronto and do like a meetup. I miss Toronto. Not saying I'm not happy to live here, but I just miss like the city. Which, you know, was a thing I couldn't even do. I couldn't even experience when I was there because what's it called? Because of COVID stuff. And right now, with Toronto on lockdown and London not on lockdown, I'm very appreciative. Although I don't do any stage 3 things. Like, I don't go to bars. I don't even go to the grocery store or like I don't go to the farmer's market anymore, is what I should say. So yeah. Since season 3 Discovery is probably going to be about bringing back the Federation, can you bring back a society that has been gone for hundreds of years? I feel like projects of the Holy Roman Empire show that whenever you try to do that, you just end up with something completely different. Probably. I mean, it's not realistic. It's about like bringing back something with the ideals of the Federation or whatever. What's it called? This is like literally the plot of Andromeda. What was that show called? Andromeda, the one with fucking the guy who played Hercules in it. There was a show, if anyone doesn't know, there was this like really, really terrible sci-fi show called Andromeda, which tried to say that it was based on Gene Roddenberry's work, probably because he like wrote on the back of a napkin, and it had Kevin Sorbo, and it starred Kevin Sorbo, and it was about basically the plot that basically season 3 of Discovery is, but it's also a fairly common plot, which is like there was like a great federation democratically between all these different planets, but then the flagship or like a spaceship got stuck in a time thing, and in the case of Andromeda, it was a black hole, and then when it got pulled out, it was like a bajillion, gajillion, quadrillion years in the future, and the great, wonderful society is falling apart. It's dead. It's all gone. And so the story of the series is to bring that thing back together, and it's like, okay. Andromeda fucking sucked. It was like one of the worst TV shows I think I've ever watched every episode of. But what's it called? But Discovery season 3 seems to be doing like the exact same thing, but it's with the Star Trek future, and and the Andromeda is the Discovery, and like that's like the plot of season 3. And yeah, they may not be able to bring it back, but also it's fiction, so they can bring it back because the idea of bringing back the Federation just as it was is a much more fun thing to do than like, oh, it came back, but it kind of sucks, or it's different than it was. So I'll take it. I'll take it for having fun, high-concept sci-fi adventures in the far future for a few more seasons so that we can see cool shit. I'll take that as a premise for a space show. Especially because I'm starting to really like the Discovery crew, you know? I want to see more time with like the cast members who didn't get a whole lot of screen time in season 1 and 2, but now that like a whole bunch of characters have been removed, they can be more main characters, like Lieutenant Detmer, which is Lieutenant Detmer is the pilot of Discovery. She's the one with the red hair, and she's got the cybernetic eye thing. Be cool to see her more often. I love to see more time with Hugh, Dr. Hugh. I can't remember what his last name. Dr. Coulter? Dr. something? What's it called? Anthony Rapp's husband in the show. I can't remember what his name is, but he's pretty... I'd like to see more of him. And obviously, they've been listening to the fans and know that Ensign Tilly is like a fan favorite, and she's just getting more and more screen time every season, so that'll be happy. I'm hoping to see a lot of Tilly too. Apparently, PragerU is being used in Ohio public schools as part of the curriculum. Oh, fuck! Why would you, Matt? You gotta give me some time before you drop something like that. That's horrible. Oh, like I felt like that. I felt that sentence like a fucking spike through my head. Thanks. But teaching Howard Zinn is indoctrination. God forbid kids aren't mindless puppets for capital. Brr, yeah. I don't know what Peter Coffin's tweet about Gamergate was. Oh. Peter has always kind of bothered me. I'm not very good at explaining why. I read that. Okay, let's see. My dad disagrees with most of the stuff the Tories stand for, but he voted for them because he was afraid of Jez. Is my dad a potential little Nazi? I mean, he's also a former cop. I mean, he's pretty high on the list of people who would be little Nazis, yes. QAnon splintering because they're speaking in code. It's going to be like fucking Ponypool. Pontypool? I don't know what that is. How terrifying is Tom Cotton? He's definitely a person of interest. Watch in anxiety the political ambitions of Thomas Cotton. Because, yeah, he looks like he's trying to set himself up to run for president and sort of, like, build on what Trump did. Which, like, I don't know if he has the charisma, because the thing about Donald Trump that made him that made him get as far as he did is that, like, I'm not a person who tries to say that he's a big dum-dum who is really inept at stuff. He's legitimately a very charismatic person. He has a good sense of comedic timing. He has a pretty good memory too. And he uses that to his advantage. And I know that like Donald Trump has a very natural way of talking to people, and he's very charismatic and stuff. I don't know if Tom Cotton has that same ability. What I kind of worry more about, not what's his name, fucking the Fox News alt-right asshole that shows up on The Intercept all the time. Why is that name escaping me? Someone's going to say it in the chat and I'm going to feel like an idiot. Tucker Carlson. It was Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, I fear him more because he has this grip on a new fragment of like he could rally the alt-right, but he could also rally like the Tulsi Gabbard left, and because he's already like best friends with Glenn Greenwald and stuff like that, and so like that scares me. Like I don't know. This is like the thing. This is like where people call me like a suck dem or a lib. Yeah, I mean those are the things that I'm called most often on our bread tube. But I worry a little bit about red browning, which is like the process of people going from sweeping from communist to Nazi, and the red browning effect is fairly real, and you see it in like the Tulsi Gabbard, Russia Today, like vaguely like Glenn Greenwald left area. You can see that there's already like red browning happening, and I don't like it. I always felt like I was being scolded for being upset about something that actually affected me and my marginalized comrades. Why are you so upset? You're too sensitive, but with more words and a smug face. Yeah. Very easy to Canada vote, eh? The thing is, like, the Conservatives tried to do voter suppression back when Stephen Harper was Prime Minister, and it was pretty loud. It was like they try to get rid of vouching, which is like one way that you can prove ID for voting is if you can get somebody else with ID to vouch for you and say that you are the person who you say you are, and they can sign an affidavit to that, which was fairly commonly used by Indigenous people because there's a lot of Indigenous people who don't have a form of ID, or if they do, it's a band card. And I don't exactly know how band cards get used as far as photo ID for for voting. Thank you, Chuck RM. Thank you for following. Welcome to York Gang. But there's like, you know, it was like one of the ways that someone who had no ID could vote. Like any other way of voting was better, but you could, if like there was absolutely no other choice, get somebody to sign who has photo ID to sign an affidavit saying you are who you are. Very rarely used. Only like most often used with indigenous people and people living in very rural areas or people who are very poor who don't have forms of ID. And they tried to close that, and it was pretty unpopular, if I remember correctly. So I think they killed it. Handing out municipal ballots in Toronto is fun, though. Different variant for each of the school boards. Yeah. I don't understand why me, a person who didn't have kids, was going to be voting for who's going to be a school board trustee, but okay. Canadians microdose on democracy. We just have little elections every other year instead of like, you know, a big hit of election every other year. So we're like, we microdose on elections. Canada can have a little election as a treat. There is something, and there's something to it because like there's something that I took in poli-sci. Like there's the idea of like voter fatigue, that in the United States people are like the fact that like the poll is so big and that the elections are so ubiquitous and take forever. It sort of results in people just being tired of the election and checking out and not voting, and that's why it's one of the myriad reasons why voter turnout is so low. Because like also, this is like one of the things that'll really take Americans for a run. British people know this because they do the same thing. Is that our elections are not set in stone. Like our Constitution doesn't say when elections are, so. When an election is called, there's about like a month until election day. And so the entirety of the election happens in like a 1 month period. And the parties are forbidden by law to run ads promoting their political parties before the writ's been dropped, as it's called. And so before the prime minister calls for an election and dissolves government and like, we do the whole thing, then you can't do it. So we like most often times happen when like, when it's been 4 years, say, since the prime minister has come into power, you're like, okay, there's probably going to be an election sometime this year, but it's like at the back of your mind, you don't really think about it, and you don't really get like fucking blasted with advertisements until the last month before the election. And the British are even better at this because they have a law where you're not even allowed to campaign and you're not allowed to run campaign ads on election day. And if I remember correctly, it's like more intense than that. Like you can't even talk about the election on election day until after the polls are closed or something. I could be wrong on. That might be completely, but there's like some serious like media controls over how you can talk about the election on election day. And it's like, holy crap. So that's our political atmosphere, friends. Jelly? All right. Would it actually be a bad thing if easy free movement destroyed local cultures, or would that just be a form of natural cultural evolution? I mean, it's, bittersweet. There might be some positive aspects to it. There's, cultures are always in flux and always changing and always mixing. Though, there is something to be said about, at least for posterity, preserving culture. Like, it's kind of sad that so many languages are going extinct and we don't have them preserved. And as a historian, I feel like that is important. How would you feel about having two presidents, each with veto power over the other? Oh, that could get messy real fast. What America needs definitely is more ways to prevent things from happening. That's for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I would love, like, what's it called? Like, I think, what was it? Was it, it was Benjamin Franklin, who, his proposed idea when they were making the Constitution was that there would be a council of 5 presidents who would sort of decide the election and that they would serve for life. So basically it would be like a president's Supreme Court. It's like, maybe not so much with the Supreme Court thing, but or not so much of the serving for life thing, but 5 presidents? There are worse ideas, I guess. You didn't even need to leave the building you lived in to vote. That is true. I just had to go up to the top floor. You should have started an anarchist book fair at the poll station with some friends, hand out some pamphlets and stuff. Maybe. I lived in a building with a lot of like Bay Street workers and stuff like that, so I lived in a part of town that was like a lot of like liberal central. So I don't think it would have gone down very well. Do you ever worry that some part of your parasocial fans might create fake Twitch accounts where they act like conservatives in the chat to get your attention? Well, now I am. Thanks for making me scared, Deputy Gandalf. I haven't thought of that before, but... oh, man, that sucks. All right. I'm getting more and more behind. I'm like half an hour behind. You sound like you pine for the old days of actual common law legal system. I wouldn't go that far. I don't really like laws, really. Did you watch Interstellar? I already answered that question. Do you think that fascists will cause a lot of violence before or after the election? I mean, they've already caused a lot of violence before the election. Will they cause violence after the election? I think so. Especially if Biden wins. What's it called? Like, we should be keeping our eye on, like, fascist groups right now because the next few weeks could result in them doing some pretty skeezy shit, including what I'm worried about them, like, attacking polling locations to stop Biden from getting votes and stuff. If the treehouse commune is accessible, it does sound dope. Yeah. All of the tree houses are actually, it's more like a Keebler Elf situation. Like they're all on the bottom floor and there's ramps going into them, so they are accessible. D&D books. Hey, get a load of the nerd. Yeah, I'm a pretty big D&D fan. I won't lie. It's like the one I feel like without D&D I would have actually gone insane during COVID during quarantine. It's like the one thing I use to see my friends every week cuz I'm quite an extrovert. Like I like spending time with friends and I like going out and stuff. So like if I didn't have D&D, it would be way too much. Thoughts on Marxists saying postmodern ruined the left? I mean, in many ways, it depends upon. Like, so the thing is, like, there's 2 ways you can look at it. Because there was like Marxists who didn't like postmodernism when it was first becoming a thing in like academic circles, where they didn't like that it talked about culture and things that were not strict historical materialist analysis, in which case I would say to those Marxists that you're being far too narrow in your analysis of things. And like most Marxists who aren't Twitter Marxists would today say that, yeah, you can't just like use capital to analyze literally everything. There's a few other factors at play than just straight up materialism. For Marxists today who say, like for Twitter Marxists who say that postmodernism ruined the left, they don't know what postmodernism is for the most part, and their interpretation of postmodernism is like saying that racism is real is somehow ruining the left, which like like I would say, like CPUSA was like pretty big ally of the civil rights movement, and like, communists and socialists have been part of social justice movements forever. The first woman to run for president ran as a communist. Like I don't know. It's just like it's a dumb thing to say. And it's just, I think it's more of those like people like from that TikTok we watched where it's like, I was a Nazi 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna say a fascist dog whistle now. It's like, oh, okay. I am concerned about you. Will you wish Tommy Douglas happy birthday? Matt Lipton already did, because Matt Lipton's a fucking pro. Tommy Douglas would be 116 today if he were alive today. Who's like the guy who gave Canada universal health care. Pretty cool. The Frankfurt School is essential if you want to understand capitalism post-World War II. Primarily culture, but also other things. It's really important. Cool. Maybe I should read more. My birthday is on Friday. Laura, happy birthday. This Friday. Hope you have a good time. All things considered. October birthdays are very fun birthdays. So you lucked out on that one. My birthday was always in the sort of weird time around exams. So when I was in university, it would be, hit or miss whether I'd be able to see my friends for my birthday because everyone would be studying for exams and stuff. My dad had to go to multiple specialists to get his chronic muscle pain diagnosed. Yeah, there's a lot of problem with diagnosing muscle pain is actually like pretty hard to do. They gave him pills that fixed it. That's my story about how awful we avoided because we don't live in the U.S. and don't have to pay to see doctors. Well, there you go. Did Noam Chomsky ever get fan art of himself? I say thy nay. Something makes me think he did. The fact that like now it's become a meme to email Chomsky makes me think that he has most definitely gotten fan art. Like almost for sure. All right. What we got next? Let's see. You're not grumpy on stream, just endlessly appalled that Nazis think this is the place they should be. There you go. What do you think about the Bolivian elections? Happy times. Happy day. Yesterday, everyone was in a real good mood that an indigenous socialist party, like, fucking blowout won the election. Like, to get over 50% in proportional representation is fucking unheard of. So that made me real happy. I really liked that one. And the fact that it made the Nazis cry, the fact that the neoliberals are tearing out their hair or trying to ignore that victory for the people because everyone was trying to talk about Evo Morales being this usurper, being a bad, non-democratic, and then just have his party just fucking win election again. I'll take it. At least you don't have a resting "I will fucking murder you" face like me. Yeah, that would be worse. Because I am like big and I could look scary if I wanted to. There was a time where I woke up, because there was a time where I used to cut my own hair with like an electric buzz thing. And I woke up in the middle of there was this period when I was in my last year of university and I was part of the academic senate, and I was in a full course load, and I lived like 6 kilometers from campus. And so I had this like time in my life where I was basically getting up at 5 a.m. and going to campus and staying on campus until almost like 10, 11 at night before I went home. So I woke up at 5 a.m. having gotten like maybe like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I went to go and do like, shave my head in the morning, but I accidentally didn't put the guard on. And I basically got into this moment where I was like, well, because I just like shaved this like streak of bald through my head, and I was like, I guess I'm going bald now. So I was bald for a little bit, and I went out for like a walk at night, and I was like, oh my, I would probably look pretty scary to people right now. It's because my right eye is slightly droopy. Guy called fucking Tubin. You couldn't write it. It's true. You thought the camera was off, and Ecuador follows. Alrighty. How old even is the Harambe meme? Was that this year? This year's lasted eternity. Is 2016. I never noticed. You never noticed the gap in my teeth? I like Saturday morning breakfast cereals take on intelligent life in the galaxy. The obvious smelly kid hypothesis. There is other life, but it avoids us like the plague. Hope so. You subscribe to the phosphorus filter and that the firstborn civilization. What filter solutions would you subscribe to regarding the Fermi paradox? The phosphorus one's a pretty big one. The mitochondria one is also a pretty big one, which is that our cells, like multicellular life, is pretty dependent on mitochondria. And mitochondria are basically a type of organism that just like decided to live inside of our cells and replicate with us. And it generates energy in levels that allows us to be multicellular life. And it might, depending upon how rare of an occurrence something like that happening is, it might result in the fact that there's no multicellular life anywhere else in the galaxy. Other things are that there's probably a galactic habitable zone because of stars that give out gamma ray bursts or like big like flashes of radiation. There's also the Jupiter thing, which is that having a gas giant like Jupiter basically results in Earth not being like destroyed over and over again with asteroids. Because Jupiter absorbs all of our asteroids for us. Then there is the idea that the moon keeps the Earth rotating in a more stable orbit so that we're not tidally locked, which makes it our climate a lot more stable. And like there's a whole lot of different things that are like all coming together at once to make that life on Earth possible. There's only one gender, the human gender. Oh man, that is like, I don't know why, but I find that very funny. Thank you for adding to that to my heart. Would there be no genders in a perfect world? Don't some people get a lot out of their gender expression? Sure, I guess. I just think that like in like the ideal future we wouldn't like just create these categories based on, I don't know, gonads or whatever and say, all right, all the people of these gonads get to go into this box and all the people of these gonads get to go into this box. And this dictates a whole lot of your roles in society and what kind of clothes you're allowed to wear and all these things. Like a lot of the times it's a lot of telling you what you can't do. And I would rather just not tell anybody what they can and can't do based on gender. Like, I would rather we didn't have social performances we had to make based on dissertations like that. What do you think of Ashby Coffin? She seems fine. I met her once. She's fine. I don't really follow her all that closely, so I don't really know what she's up to. Isn't that like the least Canadian thing ever to say? Yeah, it's true, but I grew up in Toronto, or I grew up around Toronto, so I have a certain nostalgia for the city. Do you miss Quebec? Little bit. Every once in a while I think about how living in Quebec was like distinctly different from living in Ontario. And there were like, first of all, Quebec was when I was an undergrad, and so I have lots of memories of being like, 22 and drunk off my ass and partying and like all of the sort of like freedoms and friends and all that kind of stuff that comes with being an undergraduate student. And so like my nostalgia for Quebec is sort of tied up in that. But there's some stuff like, I don't know, like Quebec is weird in such a unique, it's so strange in its own very particular way that I do miss it from time to time. Have you ever heard of Jungle King or Juan Santos Atahualpa Apuinca Huanacapac, who fought the Spanish in the 1740s in Peru and successfully set up an independent native state in the Amazon for 200 years until the Republic of Peru sent settlers and peacefully brought them back into civilization? Well, I hadn't. This is the first time I've ever heard of it, so congratulations. You helped me hear about a new thing. Andromeda was so bad. The only show, like Andromeda, yeah, Phoebe has arrived. She's coming around. The only show that is worse than Andromeda, that was also sort of like based on a thing that Gene Roddenberry said once, was this show called Earth Final Conflict, and it was also where like Earth made first contact with an energy alien called the Talons, and it was all filmed in Toronto in like the worst way possible. It was filmed in Ottawa because you could see the green roofs and stuff, but it was such a poorly written show. It was so bad. It's so bad that at a Star Trek convention when I was a teenager, I met the woman who played one of the aliens on Earth Final Conflict, who played, was it Zaor, I think was the name of the alien? Anyways, I talked to her, and her character was sort of written off after season 4, and season 5 was the last season of the show. And she had told me that she hadn't even watched it. It was so bad. Yeah, the show was not great. Who is winning at early voting? I mean, you can't count votes before Election Day, but given like exit polls, it looks like the Democrats are winning in like huge numbers, like 2-1 type thing, in early voting. Should move my camera so that there's more cat. Everyone loves cat. No, more this way. There we go. This is what people want. Alrighty. There could also be, fuckery in person if one of Trump's poll watchers did. That's true. The happy redhead in Star Trek Discovery is adorable. That's Ensign Tilly, and she is great. A while back, I tried to create a fictional utopian society. I had this idea most people would be men and women, but there would also be a significant proportion of people who identify as other weird genders that go in and out of fashion over centuries of time. Is that idea better or worse than gender just being abolished? I mean, sure. I would be interested in seeing what the exploration. I would be interested in the exploration of that. I don't know what would be better or worse, but I think it would be interesting. What if it turns out Trump is a communist accelerationist and just trying to show us the terrors of capitalism and liberalism? Wow, that would be amusing. What a thing that would be. Don't worry, it isn't standard education in Ohio. It's just one school. Oh, okay. Basically, they said Gamergate was gamers rebelling against bourgeois liberal feminists. Oh, God, that's horrible. Thoughts on Howard Zinn? I had to read A People's History for my AP U.S. History class. Thoughts? Well, it's great that you had to read that for AP U.S. History. I actually think that People's History of the United States is probably like one of the best books for teaching people about American history. It's called Howard Zinn. Wasn't perfect, but he was a lot better than a lot of historians of his day. And people have compared me to being the Howard Zinn of YouTube history. So I'm totally happy with that that distinction, or with that label. I'm asking you to tell me what to do about my Peter Coffin support. Don't make me make my own moral choices. I'm an anarchist. I'm morally against telling you what to do. Where's your old General Franco flag? I don't have one. Oh, best friends with Glenn. Just like Glenn Greenwald is way friendlier with Tucker Carlson than he should be. Tristan doesn't have his anarcho-communist flag up, so he's obviously a crypto-Nazi. I still got it. I just got to hang it up. I've been, like, you have no idea how lazy I've been about unpacking since we moved. I've been so bad. Marabito, the Glenn Beck, publicly apologized for making people into the radical right and strumming up people into the alt-right by parroting their ideas. Then he publicly called Trump an idiot. Well, that's good. Mostly banned cards aren't valid for much. And in fairness, it's less a racism thing than there being a lot of them and not much ability to verify them. Okay. Why do you think mainly only monarchical governments survived past ancient civilizations when most early humans were anarcho-communist? Because the monarchists could make soldier classes while the other people could not. And they were just much more of them. When you farm, you generate more calories per acre, and so you make more people. When you are able to harvest more energy, you're able to reproduce more, and so you can feed more people, and you have more people, and then you don't have to have everybody work, so you can make soldiers, and soldiers are really good at killing nomads, so that you can build land or build farms where their foraging grounds used to be. You said that you were in Red Square. You were in the Red Square movement in a video. What university were you at? Bishops. I wasn't like in the Red Square movement, but I was like Bishops was like one of the universities that basically had no Red Square movement, and I was in student government at the time. So like for anyone who doesn't know, the Red Square movement was a protest movement in Quebec to protest a rise in tuition prices. And I was at an English university in Quebec that was primarily made up of people who were not born in the province or who were not provincial citizens. So it did not affect us at all. So I was in the student government at the time. I was in the academic senate. I was the humanities senator. And during the Red Square movement, the entire student government was made up of primarily Anglophones who didn't particularly care about the tuition rise. And so fairly often in a lot of student government things, I became like the one person who had to represent the interests of like people who were against the tuition hike. And it was really like, that was like my participation in the Red Square movement, I guess, if that's what you can call that. Oh no. All right. Getting low on time, so I'm gonna have to like find. Okay. Is that wrong? The number of GTA games have anti-left/union themes, given how much Rockstar exploits its workers. I mean, it's not ironic. It's just a thing they do. Let's see. I remember when one election season was going to be 70 days and everyone lost their shit because it was way too long. Yeah, I remember that. I think Harper tried to do that. But Harper did pass that shit law banning unions from donating to political parties to leg sweep the NDP. My local candidate had to give back donations to the unions because of that law. That sucks. All right. When the Nazis took over the Channel Islands, they kept the local cops. Some of them sent to take the handful of Jews who lived there. When we took back the Channel Islands, those cops were basically given a free pass. What should have happened to them? I mean, whatever else happened to Nazi collaborators, I guess. Two presidents. Yeah, America needs more Roman Empire. Oh, boy. Triumvirate round two. Do you mean just like recorded or preserved as actual living languages? I mean, I think recorded or at least preserved in some fashion. It doesn't it's not, I just don't like when things are lost, you know? The entire point of the consul system in Rome is why they have 2 consuls plus the tribune of the plebs where they can veto each other in the Senate. Yeah, and we all know how well that turned out. Sorry, what's it called? I have a feeling that I don't really want to trust the political wisdom of the country that produced Caligula, so I'm good. Is it true that the Black Lives Matter and Antifa movements haven't progressed beyond riots and protests into a full-blown revolution, or are being destroyed in detail by police because there's no vanguard party to direct it? I mean, it's a movement that has been continuing. I don't know if it's being destroyed. It's like all movements. All movements, peter out at some point. If anything, I've been impressed by its sustainability, and it's still going. I don't think that you need to have a vanguard party. That's just like shit that Marxist-Leninists say to justify them. They're like, well, you started a movement against a specific issue, but you didn't make it about us, so therefore it didn't work. And it's like, okay, whatever, bud. Not everything has to be about advancing Marxism-Leninism and its glorious goal of transitioning the world from one with anarchists to one without anarchists. Oh man, look how cute Phoebe's being right now. Oh, this is fucking adorable. Phoebe. This is like, we were coming near the end of the stream now, and I'm just like, Phoebe just does the cutest thing. Aww. So I think that's the end of the stream for tonight. It is 9 o'clock, and as I said, this is the thing we're doing now. So I'm going to find a victim to raid. Not a whole lot of people streaming right now, though. You know what? You know what feels really up this stream's alley? And that is early. Okay, no, I said at the beginning of the stream that because of like trying to prevent burnout, I'm going to start ending my streams at 9 because Tuesdays are just way too long for me right now. But I'm going to stream. I think everybody wants to see Adam Conover playing Crusader Kings 3. That feels like something my audience would be into. So let's do that. Except for that, everybody have a great evening. I'll be back on Friday. There should be a new video coming out soon. So take care.